right, I call the regular meeting of the Board of Education to order at 7 p.m. Thank you for coming, and for those that will be watching the recording at some point in the future, all board members are present with the exception of Dr. Gutierrez, and we have a quorum to meet. At this time, I invite those willing and able to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, next on the agenda in the area of communications and engagement is our first public comment period. Be advised that this meeting is a meeting of the Board of Education in public for the purpose of conducting the school district's business and is not to be considered a public meeting. There are 2 times for public participation during the meeting as indicated on the agenda. When addressing the board, you'll be asked to state your name. The board determines the amount of time granted to individuals or groups to speak. Each person shall be allowed to speak for up to 3 minutes. Board members may question speakers but are not obligated to answer questions or make statements or commitments in response to issues raised by the public. In general, such items will be referred to the superintendent for advisement, investigation, study, and/or recommendation, or designated as a future agenda item for board consideration. Are there any members of the public that wish to address the Board of Education? Okay, hearing none, we will move on. All right, next on the agenda are routine matters for approval. I need a motion to approve the minutes of the budget hearing held on June 3rd, 2026.
Motion by Pryor.
Support by Burdette.
All right, we have a motion by Ms. Pryor with support from Mr. Burdette. Is there any discussion? Okay, hearing none, we will move on with the vote.
Murray, yes. Pryor?
Yes.
Sislo?
Yes.
Burdette?
Yes.
Farrow?
Yes.
Heika?
Yes.
And motion carries 6-0.
All right, next up, I need a motion to approve the minutes of the regular meeting held on June 3rd, 2026.
Moved by Heika.
Support by Sislo.
All right, we have a motion from Ms. Heika with support from Mr. Sislo. Is there any discussion? Okay, hearing none, we'll move on with the vote.
Pryor?
Yes.
Sislo?
Yes.
Burdette?
Yes.
Farrow?
Yes.
Heika?
Yes.
And Murray, yes. Motion carries 6-0.
Okay, thank you. All right, next up on the agenda, I need a motion to approve the 2026-2027 MHSAA membership resolution as detailed in attachment A.
Moved by Burdette.
Support by Heika.
All right, we have a motion by Mr. Burdette with support from Ms. Heika. Mr. McMahon.
Yes, thank you, President Farrow. This is just an annual agreement we signed with MHSAA for us to participate in their sanctioned league and their, just to be under their guidance.
Any questions from board members? Okay, we'll proceed with the vote.
Thank you. Sislo?
Yes.
Burdette?
Yes.
Farrow?
Yes.
Heika?
Yes.
Murray, yes. Pryor?
Yes.
Motion carries 6-0.
Okay, thank you. Next up on the agenda is board organization. I do have a few comments that I wanted to bring to the board's attention as well as the community. During our last Board of Education meeting, I suggested that the board's finance committee meet more frequently with Superintendent McMahon and the district's finance team. I have since spoken with Treasurer Heika and Trustee Burdette. The finance committee plans to meet before the first board meeting of each month during the 26-27 fiscal year. Concerns linger on the lack of an adopted state budget, which could impact our budget and or require some difficult conversations and decisions in the months ahead. So for community awareness, the largest portion of our budget comes from state funds, and that is not known at this time. We anticipate that the district will receive $10,300 per student. However, we do not know what we can anticipate in terms of at-risk school safety or special education funding, just to name a few. In addition to the finance committee meeting schedule, I am suggesting that the Communications and Community Engagement Committee, comprised of Ms. Murray, Mr. Burdette, and Mr. Sislo, establish a similar meeting cadence to help ensure that a potential budget impasse is communicated to our stakeholders in a timely and transparent manner. It is important that the district clearly communicate what is happening or not happening in Lansing. the potential impacts on our operations and how we are responding. The committee could also utilize this time, if desired, to keep the board and the community informed on the district's ongoing marketing and community engagement efforts. So are there any thoughts or comments from the board on those suggestions? Yes.
I just want to say that I support that, keeping the community up to date on what is going to happen with, well, how we're planning to prepare for any financial decisions. More transparency, I think, is always best, so I support both of those committee meetings.
Any other comments from board members? I'll connect with Ms. Murray on the schedule for the communications committee. And once I have that information, I'll communicate that to the balance of the board. Okay? All right, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Also under board organization is a board meeting calendar update. Attachment B details the updated version of our board meeting schedule for the 26-27 school year. I just wanted to bring to everyone's attention that there were a few meetings that needed to be moved in the spring of 27 due to scheduling conflicts. So Ms. Beckman and Superintendent McMahon will get the updated meeting schedule appropriately posted. I don't know if you want to add anything, Superintendent McMahon.
Yeah, I'll just add, it was the second meeting in May. We moved it to the Tuesday instead of the Wednesday because that usually conflicts with high school senior honors night. And then in June, there's an additional Wednesday. So we just bumped back the second meeting in June just to give us more time because that's year end. So it buys us a little more time for any budget items that need to be approved and then also just another week to get hires made. So we just shifted those two meetings.
Any questions or concerns from the board on the updated board calendar? Okay. In the area of finance and operations, we will now consider a state aid borrowing resolution. I need a motion to authorize borrowing up to $3.75 million against anticipated state aid for the 26-27 fiscal year as specified in the borrowing resolution detailed in attachment C.
Moved by Murray.
Support by Sislo.
All right, we have a motion by Ms. Murray with support from Mr. Sislo. Superintendent McMahon.
Thank you, President Farrow. This is an annual requirement, essentially, for most districts. And it results in the fact that we don't get a September state aid payment. Nobody does in the state of Michigan. We typically get monthly revenue, but not in September. And so most districts that I would say are below a 15 or 10% fund balance probably need to borrow money to cover cash flow. So that's all this is. It just gives us a carryover period. The state has a system where they loan us the money when they don't give it to us. And Troon, we work with Troon closely. Troon actually is the agent that goes with, works with the state and with us. So there's no conflict there. They have a policy that I shared with you guys, a statement showing there's no conflict of interest, but they work closely with Krista to get all of our numbers organized and to put the document together to come up with the $3.75 million for this year for us to borrow.
Senator, do you have anything you want to add? No? Okay. Any questions from board members? All right, we'll proceed with the vote.
Burdette,
Yes.
Farrow,
Yes.
Heika,
Yes.
Murray, yes. Pryor,
Yes.
Sislo.
Yes.
Motion carries 6-0.
All right, next up on the agenda, I need a motion to approve the Milan High School tennis court repairs in the amount of $118,080 as detailed in attachment D.
Moved by Sislo.
Support by Murray.
All right, we have a motion from Mr. Sislo with support from Ms. Murray. Mr. McMahon.
Yeah, thank you, President Farrow. So this is a sinking fund project mostly. We got approval through Troon to do essentially a resurfacing. It's needed because we have cracks. It's the courts were added when the high school was built, and they've just worn over time, weathered, and there's cracks in them, and it's actually unleveling a little bit. So it's essentially getting to be unplayable. We managed to get through this last season with care, but it's time that we need to get them fixed. So we put a proposal out, and this is through a bid consortium, so it doesn't need to go through an RFP process. Mr. Morlock was able to find this pro track and tennis organization that they can essentially redo the courts, give us a 5-year warranty, which we think, hope will last up to 10 years. There's a portion of it that is considered equipment, and that's the posts and nets and maybe some wiring. That can't be sinking fund eligible. The quote in here is $20,000. That includes, there's a foundation to the posts, so dig up a little bit and excavate those and put new ones in. It's up to $20,400, I think, that could fall to the general fund budget. If we can reuse our nets and posts, which we think we'll be able to, we might be able to save up to $5,000 on that piece. So we're looking at possibly an expense of $15,000 out of general fund to cover the entire repair.
Any discussion from board members?
Mr. McMahon, can you remind us or as to about how much it will be covered by sinking funds? The amount total?
It'll be, well, it's 118,400, I think, and 2,400, so like 98 will be covered,
Okay.
ish, right around there.
And then are the tennis courts open for public use?
Yes.
Thank you.
Brian, or Mr. Farrow,
Yes.
Mr. McMahon, there is a possibility that if we remove the nets, the posts, and the anchors, that more of it can be covered from the sinking fund. Based on an email that we received from Trim. So,
Thank you. Ms. Heika?
Mr. Farrow, I understand the need for fixing those tennis courts. I feel like we've chatted about this at other board meetings in past years. And I am all for using sinking fund money to effectuate this repair, because this is exactly the type of project that we told the community we needed the sinking fund for. My concern, though, is that the uncovered portion that will come out of general funds, and I'm only concerned at this point because, as we've been talking about up here tonight, and we've talked about at many meetings, we don't know what our foundational allotment is going to be next year, and we don't really know what the state budget is going to look like. And so I'm a little leery of approving $20,000 out of general fund right now when we just don't know what our budget's really going to be. And if, we've all seen the current budget. And so for those reasons, I'm maybe overly cautious in terms of spending general fund money. So for those reasons, I'll be voting no tonight.
Thank you for that. Ms. Pryor?
I also will be voting no on this proposal for all the reasons Ms. Heike stated. In addition, I'm concerned with all the many projects we have to complete, that the use of the sinking fund money at this stage for this project is too quick, and we should be focusing on repairs that are needed for functioning of our school. And I am not in favor of taking $20,000 out of our general fund budget for this. I'm glad the school allows the community to use it. I have taken advantage of the tennis courts myself. However, I think it's an inappropriate use of money at this time, so I will also be voting no.
Thank you for that.
Mr. Farrow?
Yes.
I was wondering, Mr. McMahon or Ms. Hendricks, maybe could you talk a little bit about, do we know a timeline of, when we might expect those courts to become unplayable? Are we looking at, this coming school year? And if so, what, if we didn't approve this funding, what position would that put our tennis teams in? Can you kind of roll that forward a little bit if you're able?
Sure, yeah, it's pretty much impossible to figure out when we deem them unplayable.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we were close to that this year.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say probably we're done having, sponsoring tennis matches on the courts as they are. I mean, we just got away with it. We might be able to continue that for another season possibly. If they're deemed unplayable, then we would have to first look at doing all away matches as an option. As it is, we only have 4 courts. A lot of schools have 8. So our matches take twice as long typically as the ones we attend, but we may have to travel then.
Okay, so then, I guess follow-up question, like how does that impact our teams as far as practice? Would they be competing for indoor practice space with other sports potentially, or they have to travel to practice? I'm just trying to weigh that uncovered 20,000 when we start to think about the cost of transportation for our teams and all of that stuff.
Sure.
Like, I completely appreciate and agree, honestly, with the position where that Ms. Heike and Ms. Breyer have expressed. I too am feeling a bit uncomfortable. However, I'm really trying to understand, like what is the impact to students going to be? And when I think about other repairs that we've made in the district for things that our community uses or that enable us to host other, schools for activities, that's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah, competing for indoor space is already an issue when the weather's not great, so we have to go inside. When the weather improves, other teams could go outside, and so we could use more indoor space then. But you need time outside on courts, and so they would have to find other courts, or to maybe split practice if 2 of the 4 are in decent enough condition to use. There's the courts down at Wilson Park they could probably use, and then we would probably use another local school travel.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that.
Any other comments from board members? Mr. Burdette?
Is there a possibility of voting on just the sinking fund portion or splitting the vote, essentially voting on the sinking fund and voting on the non-sinking fund, or is that not possible in this case?
No, the proposal is all or none. We can have a discussion at some other point about how it's funded, if we try to seek fundraisers or some donations. But the proposal from the company it's already included, that piece of it. So we'd have to go back and get another proposal and say, eliminate that work. Or the equipment part of it.
Sorry, Mr. Farrell. Mr. McMahon, is there a timeline where this proposal or quote is good for, I know in my work, often a company will give you this quote is good until X date.
We just had the quote renewed, so it's good for 30 days, so probably another 25 days from now. But we also want to get the work started now because our season starts and practice starts in August.
Thank you. That was my next question, was when are the teams going to need the courts and when do we need to do that work? So, okay, thank you.
So, it's we have, the boys' season is in the fall and the girls' season is in the spring.
Correct.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No.
I just have a brief comment, and I'm going to support the proposal in part because this is a safety issue, and I think if we don't address this now, this could be a larger expense down the road. With it being a safety concern, I'm not sure if we've ever put some of our programs into a situation where they've had to fundraise to correct a safety issue. So I'll be supporting the motion. Any other comments from board members? All right, we'll proceed with the vote.
Okay. Farrow.
Yes.
Heike.
No.
Murray, yes. Pryor.
No.
Sislo.
Yes.
And Burdette.
Yes.
Okay. Motion carries 4-2.
Okay, thank you. All right, under Learning, Environment, and Culture, I have a resolution to read for the board's consideration regarding the South and West Washtenaw Consortium. So bear with me here. Whereas Milan Area Schools is a participating school district in the South and West Washtenaw Consortium pursuant to the South and West Washtenaw Consortium Agreement dated July 1st, 2019, as previously extended through June 30th, 2026, and whereas the agreement is presently scheduled to expire on June 30th, 2026, and whereas the participating school district desire to extend the agreement for 1 additional year through June 30th, 2027, to maintain continuity of existing career and technical education programming, and Whereas following the Washtenaw Intermediate School District Career and Technical Education Millage Campaign and voter-approved CTE millage, the participating school districts anticipate evaluating whether to participate in a broader Washtenaw area CTE consortium structure. And whereas a draft Washtenaw Intermediate School District Area Career and Technical Education Program Consortium Agreement has been prepared for discussion but has not yet been adopted by the participating school districts. Whereas the Board of Education has reviewed the proposed amendment to South and West Washtenaw Consortium Agreement 2627 extension and has determined that approval of the amendment is in the best interest of the district and its students. Now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Education hereby approves the amendment to South and West Washtenaw Consortium Agreement 2627 extension in substantially the form presented to the board. The Board of Education authorizes the superintendent to execute the amendment on behalf of the district together with such non-substantive changes as the superintendent determines are necessary or appropriate consistent with this resolution. The Board of Education acknowledges that the amendment extends the agreement through June 30th, 2027, unless earlier terminated or further amended in accordance with the agreement. The Board of Education further acknowledges that approval of the amendment is intended to provide a transition and evaluation period while participating school districts review, discuss, and evaluate potential participation in a Washtenaw area CTE consortium. Approval of the amendment shall not be construed as approval of or adoption of or a commitment by the district to join or participate in any future Washtenaw area CTE consortium or related agreement. Any such participation shall require separate action by the Board of Education as applicable. If the amendment is not fully approved and executed until after June 30th, 2026, the Board of Education approves the retroactive effect and ratification provisions contained in the amendment so that upon the amendment's effectiveness, the agreement shall be deemed to have continued without interruption. The superintendent or designee is authorized and directed to take all actions necessary or appropriate to implement this resolution. So, bear with me here. I need a motion to approve the amendment to the Southwest Washtenaw Consortium Agreement as detailed in Attachment F, along with the resolution that I just read.
Moved by Heike.
Support by Sislo.
All right, we have a motion by Ms. Heike with support from Mr. Sislo. Mr. McMahon.
Thank you, President Farrow. This is an extension agreement, as President Farrow alluded to, typically for us to participate in the Southwest Washtenaw Consortium program. The superintendents have signed a 5-year agreement ever since its inception. That 5-year agreement has expired. It wasn't recreated early in the year because of the new CTE millage, and we didn't know where we would fall with the new contract there. So the county's actually getting together starting on Monday. Well, not starting, but we're working together on Monday to create a new contract for the county-wide agreement as a result of the millage. It's just not in place yet. So the superintendents got together and decided we would just do a 1-year extension, ask our boards to extend our agreement with the SWWC for 1 year. It doesn't change anything that we've done before. It's just a 1-year extension so our kids can participate in the program next year.
Any questions for Superintendent McMahon? All right, we'll proceed with the vote.
All right, Heike,
Yes.
Murray, yes. Pryor,
Yes.
Sislo,
Yes.
Burdette,
Yes.
and Farrow.
Yes.
And motion carries 6-0.
All right, next up, under Personnel Leadership, I need a motion to approve William Jones as an elementary STEAM teacher effective for the 26-27 school year.
Motion by Pryor.
Support by Heike.
All right, we have a motion by Ms. Pryor with support from Ms. Heike. Superintendent McMahon.
Thank you. We have a number of hires tonight. I think it's 6. So I'll make the statement ahead of time that all the positions were posted on our website through our jobs software, on the MASSP, MASA site, all the state associations. So the posting process was followed and the hiring process that we use in this district was followed for each position. And so I'll just say that once. So we've gone through the process. So Bill Jones here is a Milan graduate and resident. He has 3 years experience teaching in Arizona, where after school he left to go to Arizona to teach. Had to come home to deal with some personal family medical issues. So he took a break from teaching here, but then got back into it. He's been subbing for us for the last couple years, and he was a building sub this year at Simon's. So it's a natural fit. The staff loves him. He has a math degree. I believe it's math. He did math and science in Arizona. And so he's a good fit for the position, and we're looking forward to having him. Oh, and this is to replace Molly Jefferson at the elementary.
Thank you. Any questions for Superintendent McMahon? All right, we will vote.
Heika,
Yes.
Murray, yes. Pryor,
Yes.
Sislo,
Yes.
Burdette,
Yes.
Farrow,
Yes.
and motion carries 6-0.
All right, I now need a motion to approve Lane Clevenger as the Milan High School Social Studies teacher effective 2020 for the 26-27 school year.
Moved by Burdette.
Support by Murray.
All right, we have a motion from Mr. Burdette with support from Ms. Murray. Mr. McMahon.
Yep, President Farrow, thank you. Lane, who's with us tonight, thanks for showing up. So I have to make sure I get everything right, because you can check me on it. Lane's a new teacher, did his internship in IPSI, and has been subbing in Ann Arbor and Dexter over the last year, year and a half. And he's also coached baseball there at Dexter, so we're hoping to get him to coach here as well. We've talked about that, so no commitments yet.
Great.
But this is for the position that was vacated by Mike Whitaker's resignation at the high school. So it's a high school social studies position, and we're looking forward to having Lane on board.
Any questions for Superintendent McMahon? Mr. Sislo.
No, I just had a brief conversation with Mr. Clevenger before meeting, so it's, I'm happy to vote yes. So,
Assuming that we approve you, congratulations. All right, we will proceed with the vote.
All right. Murray, yes. Pryor,
Yes.
Sislo,
yes.
Burdette,
Yes.
Farrow,
Yes,
and Heika.
Yes.
Motion carries 6-0, and welcome.
congratulations. And thank you for
Thanks for
choosing
being-
Milan. All right, next on the agenda, I need a motion to approve Stacy Day as the Milan Middle School Teacher Consultant effective for the 26-27 school year.
Moved by Sislo.
Support by Burdette.
All right, we have a motion from Mr. Sislo with support from Mr. Burdette. Superintendent McMahon.
Thank you, President Farrow. So this position is the replacement for Alex Bordeaux. There was a resignation from her this year. It's for teacher consultant at the middle school. Stacy is a Milan resident and parent, so we always like to hire our locals. Her experience, she was a later in life educator, went back to school to become an educator, got a special ed degree, and was a TC in Britton Deerford School District. Had always wanted to teach math, so she went back and got a master's degree in math, and then has been there teaching math at the Henry Ford Academy at Greenfield Village for the last few years. And now wants to come back closer to home and get back into the special ed world. So we had an opening, and she's applied, and she's going to be great. She's got her BA in special ed and a master's in math.
Any questions for Superintendent McMahon? All right, we'll proceed with the vote.
Pryor,
Yes.
Sislo,
Yes.
Burdette,
Yes.
Farrow,
Yes.
Heika,
Yes.
and Murray, yes. Motion carries 6-0.
All right, next up, I need a motion to approve Maddox Avery as the Milan Middle School Resource Room Teacher effective for the 26-27 school year.
Moved by Heika.
Support by Pryor.
All right, I have a motion by Ms. Heika with support from Ms. Pryor. Superintendent McMahon.
Thank you, President Farrow. So this position at the middle school is a resource room, and it's to replace Sarah Vaughn's resignation, the vacancy from her resignation. Maddox is also a Milan resident and a parent, so we're happy to keep bringing in the locals here. Most of her experience is in Ann Arbor schools, and mostly in elementary, but some middle school work prior to that, all in Ann Arbor. She has a bachelor's degree and a master's degree, and is working on a second master's in ed leadership.
All right, any questions for Superintendent McMahon? All right, we will proceed with the vote.
Sislo,
Yes.
Burdette,
Yes.
Farrow,
Yes.
Heika,
Yes.
Murray, yes, and Pryor.
Yes.
Motion carries 6-0.
All right, next up, I need a motion to approve Molly Goins as the Milan High School Resource Room Teacher effective for the 26-27 school year.
Moved by Sislo.
Support by Heika.
All right, we have a motion by Mr. Sisler with support from Ms. Heika. Superintendent McMahon.
Thank you, President Farrow. So this is the high school resource room position that was vacated by Melanie Wilson's retirement. You may remember Molly. She did work for us previously. She was at Milan Middle School in the special ed role. Unfortunately, at the time she was hired, it was when our contract limited the number of years of experience, and it got corrected eventually, but she made a family decision to move for income. Had she stayed, it would be a different story, but she left us and went to Dundee for a little bit and just missed us. And now the contract's changed a little bit, so she's happy to come back in a new role. It'll be at the high school. We're looking forward to having her there. Because of her experience, she knows a lot of the students, a lot of the staff, and the families, so we're looking forward to her jumping right in.
All right, any questions for Superintendent McMahon? All right, we'll proceed with the vote.
Burdette,
Yes.
Farah,
Yes.
Heike,
Yes.
Murray, yes. Pryor,
Yes.
Sislo.
Yes.
Motion carries 6-0.
All right, next up, I need a motion to approve Nicole Schooler as Simon's Elementary Resource Room Teacher effective for the 26-27 school year.
Moved by Burdette.
Support by Sislo.
All right, we have a motion by Mr. Burdette with support from Mr. Sislo. Superintendent McMahon.
Thank you, President Farrow. The last hire of the evening is Nicole Schooler. Susie Conklin was in a position of resource room last year, but we've shifted her to TC, so we're adding a special ed position at Simon's for additional support. So the new position is technically TC, but we shifted someone over there, so she's going to be filling the resource room position. Nicole has been a paraprofessional with us. She's a parent of students at Milan Area Schools, has been a para with us since 2022. She had a bachelor's degree, I believe it was in fine arts, but went back for the post-bac work through the ISD and got the certification. So she earned that through Eastern last year, and she student taught with Val Rice and then did a long-term sub for Val Rice. So she's well ingrained in the building. We're really excited to have her. We already know she's a great fit. I'm looking forward to bringing her on full-time, and she's going to do great work.
Any questions for Mr. McMahon?
No questions, but I just sincerely thank the work for everybody with interviews during this time, during summer. And just based on the summaries that you provided, Mr. McMahon, it's exciting to hear, and especially a lot of local people and people that feel that they have to be here to accept the position is fantastic. So great work.
Agree. So, thank you. All right, next up under the, oh, sorry. All right, any other discussion? All right, we will proceed with the vote.
Thank you. Farah,
Yes.
Heike,
Yes.
Murray, yes. Pryor,
Yes.
Sislo,
Yes.
Burdette,
Yes.
and motion carries 6-0.
Emergency operations procedures, the first reading.
Oh,
Just for me to talk about.
okay.
It was missed on the resolution stock, so.
You want to discuss it now?
Sure, we can.
Okay. All right, this time I'm going to turn the microphone over to Superintendent McMahon to do a first reading.
Thank you, President Farrow. There was an agenda item that just didn't make the resolutions, Doc. There's no resolution. There's no voting on it. It's really a first reading. And it's to introduce to you the emergency operations plans from our buildings. It's a new state requirement, and it's very thorough. I'm going to ask Jen Bookout to share some detail about the process, but she led the work starting back January maybe, and we met with our administrators monthly. The administrators put a ton of time in it. How many pages is it? Yeah, it seems like it, yeah. It's lengthy, it's extensive. The attachment that I have on our board docs is the guidance from, the group is called I Love You Guys Foundation. That's who the state of Michigan's partnering with for guidance on these documents. They give us a template and a form, so they're consistent across the state. It's also different language now for emergency procedures, and that's all consistent. So I just shared that with you. We don't share the EOPs publicly because it's our safety response plan. So I provided them to you folks to review. We'll vote on them. That to be board approved next meeting. They also have to be shared with local security officials. But I'm going to have Jen give you a little bit more detail on those.
So this update was the result of our biannual review process. So every 2 years, we have to update and revise our plan. We went to do that this year. We realized that the Michigan State Police had released a lot of great new additional resources for us that we could use. And there were also some different legislative updates that we needed to take into account. So rather than just do some updates, we thought this was a great opportunity to really completely revise all of our planning and make sure that it was in alignment with the best practices and what we've learned about school safety over the past decade or so. So as you review those, one of the most significant changes you'll see is that we've moved from one single district-wide plan to 4 school-specific plans. And this is something that state law is now asking us to do. As you review them, you'll notice that all 4 of the plans are about 85% the same. So there's the same standard response protocols, our emergency operation protocols are all similar. What's unique about each individual plan are specific facility maps, evacuation routes, the command structure and who is responsible for what in each building, utility shutoff instructions in each building, as well as any special needs the buildings have. For example, at Paddock, you have infant and toddlers that have to be evacuated. So in the case of an emergency, first responders need to know that there will be infant and toddlers that have to be physically carried out of the building. In other buildings, we have some special education programs where we have students with mobility issues, and that's something we have to plan for. So this approach of having 4 separate plans helps to make sure we have consistency across the district, but also gives better ease of use for our unique buildings and the different things that are happening there. The updated plans also align with this new standard response protocol, which can sometimes be referred to as SRP, and that establishes consistent emergency response language, and that's a new requirement starting July 1st of this year from the state of Michigan, so that across the state of Michigan, every school district will have consistent language. So if there's an emergency response, it's not a matter of it's code red or code blue, it's all the same. So we are going to be using the following terms, and Mr. McMahon shared this with you. Hold is in situations where we need to keep students in classrooms and out of hallways if there's an emergency, minor medical issue that's happening and we want to protect student privacy and dignity while first responders come and take that student out. We have hold. Secure is where there's potential hazard outside of the building, and we'll lock all of our exterior doors, but inside of the building it's business as usual until that is able to be resolved. Lockdown is probably the most extreme situation that we would face, and this is sometimes where we would use those ALICE protocols. This doesn't replace ALICE, it would just be lockdown is when we're completely securing the building, all of the classrooms are locked, the students are out of sight and quiet in this case. Evacuate would be when our students and staff need to move to a different area of the building or to leave the building altogether. And then shelter would be situations where there's extreme weather or an environmental hazard and students need to shelter in place. So almost all of the emergency situations that we would face would follow one of those 4 core responses. So once everyone gets familiar with that language, when we respond to our first responders come, we'll be able to clearly identify what's happening. Something else that's new that's also required by law is a wireless device protocol. So the state has asked us to define and give the use of student cell phones during each of those 4 core emergency responses. So we've added those. So there's clear procedures about how students and staff as well should be using their cellular devices during each of those 4 things to make sure that we are preserving safety and also making sure that we are providing accurate information during emergency situations. Another major addition is a comprehensive reunification plan. So in situations where we have to evacuate to another location, there's now a written plan about how we communicate with families, how we verify family identification. So when families come, to make sure they're releasing students to the correct individuals, how we direct traffic, what the staff responsibilities are there. So we have done a tabletop exercise as an administrative team, and we're also going to be doing some live practice this summer, so that if there were ever, hopefully there will not be, but if there were ever a case that we had to do this, we have some experience in running that procedure. One change that we've already implemented this year is the creation of a cardiac emergency response plan. So that requires that we have a written response protocol for cardiac emergencies, that we have AEDs placed in appropriate locations, that we've done staff training, and that we also have cardiac response drills in each of the buildings. So we actually did that this winter. All of the buildings did a cardiac response drill because we wanted to make sure that we're prepared for that. And so we also now have trained staff in all of our buildings so that if there is a cardiac emergency, we can respond between 1 to 3 minutes. So we're very proud of that work. Our building staff and our office staff have played a really active role in revising those plans, and I have shared those with our Milan City Police, our fire department, Washtenaw Sheriff, and the Washtenaw County Emergency Managers so that they are able to give feedback and any revisions that they would like. I've only heard back from Washtenaw County Emergency Management at this point, but they said they were very comprehensive and they didn't have any recommendations to make. So hopefully we'll continue to hear back over the next few weeks, and then we will be able to put any revisions in place as needed. So if the board does approve these plans in July, when it comes up for a vote, our administrative team will work this summer on how we're going to communicate and implement and train our staff and families on the new language and the new policies and procedures.
Any questions for Assistant Superintendent Bookout?
So part of that then would be, probably a PD before school starts is what?
Yeah, so we would definitely do PD for staff, but we also want to train our students and our families on that new standard response protocol and what that means. So if we say that it's a secure mode, families understand that our students are still going around classes, they're still using the bathroom, doing everything, but if you come for an early pickup for an appointment, we might say, I'm sorry, our building's in a secure mode, we can't allow your student to leave. Doesn't mean that there's an emergency, it just means right now, in school is the safest place. We want to make sure families understand that, as well as talking about the reunification plan, because we know that that is something that can cause anxiety for a lot of families of, do we have a plan for that? We don't want to give all of the details just for safety and security reasons. We can't share all of the details, but we want them to understand what the communication from us is like and what we would expect from them as families as they come to pick up their students.
Awesome, thank you.
Any other questions for Assistant Superintendent Bookout?
I don't have any questions. I just want to thank all of you and all of our staff and administration that put this together. I mean, it's so comprehensive, and I appreciate all the hard work that clearly went into this, so thank you.
Yeah, thank you as well from me. I do want to apologize to Mr. McMahon and Ms. Bookout. I do have it on my agenda to discuss first reading and to hear from Assistant Superintendent Bookout on the district's emergency operation plans, and somehow I just skipped over it, so my apologies. So we will vote on the emergency plans at the next board meeting. So sorry about that. All right, next up under communications and community engagement, we are now back to public comments. Are there any additional public comments at this time? All right, hearing none, we will move on. We will go back to Assistant Superintendent Bookout.
So I wanted to talk a little bit about our summer planning process that we're doing as an administrative team. So our administrative team has been meeting weekly, and part of our work is reflecting on our past year, what's gone well, some of the challenges we faced, and then creating a plan together to address some of those challenges in the year ahead. So rather than just focusing on individual building goals and isolated initiatives, we really have been trying to look at the system as a whole and how we can build systems that support student success so we have really clear and aligned systems moving into next year. So through our conversations, we've identified some clear priority areas, and those include student behavior, attendance, social emotional learning, and MTSS. So those are our big priorities for this summer. Our recent discussions have really been focused around understanding some of the root causes behind some of the challenges that we've experienced this year and identify ways to strengthen the supports that we have for our students so that we can give them those academic, social, emotional, behavioral supports that they need to be successful. We're not really looking at just putting together some new policies or practices. We really want to look comprehensively and make sure that we have consistent structures across all of the buildings so that every student K-12 has similar experiences and pathways to support as they need those things. We really want to be proactive rather than reactive, and so we want to invest the time in building those supports for our students. So we've completed 2 meetings so far, and we've made some really great progress and strides in the work that we're doing. We are taking a brief 2-week pause. We're off this week and next week while our administrators participate in some different professional development, and then take some well-deserved time to rest as they completed the summer, and then we'll resume again after the 4th of July. I also wanted to highlight our administrators and how they're investing time this summer in their own professional growth. So Ms. Pierpolice is here, but she and Mr. Baden have spent the last 3 days at the Michigan Association of Secondary School Principals EdCon Conference, which is a 3-day conference that really is focused on best practices for secondary education. And then at the same time this week, Mrs. Schwartz, Mr. Midland, and I have been participating in a 4-day cognitive coaching training that's designed to strengthen our skills in supporting adult learning and professional growth. So I'm just really proud that even after a demanding school year that so many of our administrators are taking their time to really continue to grow and strengthen their practice so they can better support our staff and students when we come back in the fall.
Thank you. you. Any questions for Assistant Superintendent Bookout? All right, next up is Superintendent McMahon.
Thank you, President Farrow. I do have a few comments today. I was informed recently by the Washtenaw Area Council for Children, that's WACI, what we call it, that they received a grant from GMACF, which means they're going to be able to continue funding the body safety and cybersecurity trainings. It's been a free service they've been offering for years. Funding got tight. They were going to start looking at invoicing schools for it, but GMACF came to the rescue there, so we're glad that that's going to be continued for next year at least. I will share with the board and the community that the sinking fund expenditures have been added to the website. There's a spot in our transparency site. It's just a spreadsheet, but it shows our expenses to date. As I give periodic updates throughout the year, we'll update. I think I'll probably have a version for each year, but then we'll just update it as the expenses occur throughout the year. I do want to share with the community that the 2026, 2027 school calendar is still being negotiated with the MEA. We're at a position where we've been getting a lot of phone calls and emails from community members and also the ISD and MDE because they need to know our calendar. I have a few reports that need to be submitted by the end of this month, so like next week. At this point, our calendar is just tentative in draft format. We handed it to the MEA in March, and we're waiting for a response. Until then, I have to now start doing these reports on a tentative basis. Hopefully, there are no changes, or not a lot of changes, because we have to undo all the reports and redo them and ask for some extensions. So hopefully that gets resolved soon. We're looking forward to, we're ready to go for publication, so we're looking forward to getting that out to our community. We know it's something that folks are interested in knowing soon. I do want to share an update on a couple of projects in the district. So we've talked about these previously, but the work is going to be starting soon. The two main ones are the water main project at the middle school in the back parking lot, and then the cement work on the sidewalks here in the high school. Both those projects are getting started within the first or second week of July. It's going to impact traffic patterns a little bit, so just use caution when you're traveling through our lots and kind of keep an eye out for the workers there. Hopefully get that wrapped up before the end of July and back to working order. And finally, I want to encourage our stakeholders, so our community, our staff, and the board. It's really important that we reach out to our legislators. I know that's sometimes uncomfortable or it seems difficult to do, but there are websites. If you just Google who's my legislator, you'll get information. We need a school aid budget passed immediately. I had a chance to visit with some legislators at the Capitol last week, and the message is that, look, if you can't get your state budget together, at least do a supplemental school aid budget separately. We may not even agree with the terms in it, but at least we'll know what the terms are. So it's important. It looked like things were on track on both sides to get the budget approved by July 1, but there's been some political swaggering been going on the last week or so. So hopefully we can get that soon and we can move forward. It impacts all of our work. School districts in Michigan are held to high standards and deadlines, and we should expect the same from our legislators. So please, if you can, spend a few minutes, and you can even find websites that will draft emails for you and connect you. It's important that our stakeholders reach out and put a little pressure on it and discuss the value of getting a budget passed for our kids. There are other issues, if you want to talk about not robbing the school aid budget for post-secondary to $2 billion, I'd appreciate that too, but really the main thing is just get it passed. So that's it for me. Thank you.
Any questions for Superintendent McMahon? All right, next on the agenda is board member comments. Any board member comments tonight? All right, Ms. Pryor.
First off, I would like to thank the students all the students who in the past couple months have sent in thank yous for the scholarships they received. I really appreciate that, and I'm very proud to be able to be part of that committee that helps award those, and I look forward to hearing what you're doing in the future. I was also going to bring up the budget, but I think Mr. McMahon said it very well. Please, it is important, reach out if you can. It only takes a moment, and it's really relatively easy to find the information for who you need to contact. So please do that. It's important for our planning, for security, and for everybody's peace of mind. I want to thank the administrators, the teachers, the superintendent, everybody who worked on has already started working on all the plans for next year to make the school year start off wonderful. And the emergency response plans are, I'm sad that we have to do them. I wish we didn't live in that day and age, but I think that they're wonderful, and if very well followed, that if we ever have an emergency, I can see our school responding appropriately. Everybody will be safe. I'm just proud of the work that you guys have put in to make those possible. Glad for all the new hires. I love to hear local people hired, and non-local people too, and maybe they'll want to bring them here to live with us. So, coming up on the July 8th meeting, I noticed I didn't update as far as policies. I didn't put July 8th meeting in the review list, but we do have policy 4215 through 4228 to review for the July 8th meeting. In addition to that, Troon did do their biannual, sometimes they do it 3 times a year. Policy updated is 3 pages long this time. I have not delved into that yet, but I will be looking to schedule a policy committee meeting, sending those out to the policy committee so they can look at them. Most of them are minor policy changes, updates to the law, changes in names, changes in legal process. However, they do update the cell phone policy to reflect the new state law. We have not reviewed our cell phone policy yet, but I would make a suggestion, and we're looking to review it at the 9/30/26 meeting. It's policy 5209. And I would like to consider having a workshop or an additional meeting after the policy committee meets regarding the cell phone policy that we need to establish that's particular to Milan area schools. So I think it's important, it's on something that's on everybody's mind. It always has a lot of media attention, and I really think we need to be deliberate about how we tackle the cell phone policy for our students and get some information from each school on how they feel that they could best handle it. So I want to put that out there for everybody's knowledge. I don't think I have anything else, but if I do, I'll come back around the end. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Ms. Heika.
I also want to, I don't want to belabor, well, I do want to belabor this budget issue. So everyone remembers, in case this is your first meeting, or you just, don't live in this world like we do, we are required to pass our budget, like June 30th?
By June 30th.
June 30th. So we passed a budget at the last meeting. We are required by law to pass that budget, even though the state has not passed their budget telling us how much money they're going to give us. And the bulk, almost all of our money comes from state aid, right? And so we're held to these deadlines, we're held to these standards, and the legislators who hold us to these standards don't hold themselves to these same standards. So I encourage everyone, ChatGPT can draft the email for you. Reach out to your legislature, encourage them to get this done. Remember, last year, we were unable to begin negotiating with our unions until mid-October because we had no budget. So think about that. We had to pass a budget in June. We didn't even know what the state was going to give us until mid-October. You can't run a business this way. You certainly can't run a school district when you're thinking about the health and welfare and safety of our children. So please reach out to them. And I encourage everyone, without getting political, when you're thinking about, who you're researching your candidates, look and see what do they think about school funding. It's very important. We cannot run these schools if they're not fully funded. We just can't. And that impacts everyone. It not only impacts the health of our children and their education, it impacts the safety, it impacts the health and welfare of all of our staff. And as we've talked about tonight, this is a community-based school. Like, we're talking about our neighbors here, right, when we're talking about staff. So please reach out, think about these things, let everyone know how important this is to you. On the scholarship front, I want to thank, I'm not sure who it is here in the district who is responsible for dispersing those scholarship funds. I know some of them have already been dispersed. They're already showing up in soon-to-be college kids' accounts. And so it's summertime, and it's a stressful time for kids who are trying to make that, and their parents who are trying to make that transition, and to see that those things are already happening and they're kind of happening seamlessly.
She might be sitting at the table.
It's so stressful. Are you the one who does it?
Along with Carolyn White, she's
So,
the one that actually cuts the
thank
checks,
you.
but we try to get everything out as quickly as we can, as long as the students provide the information we need. But I think this year every check has been already sent to the appropriate college.
So thank you. I mean, I was shocked. I will just be honest, they showed up in Jenny's account, and I was just shocked that they were already there. So thank you guys and thank her, because, I mean, when you're trying to plan for, you know, how much you're really going to have to pay in like 3 months, it was great that that's just done and one less thing we have to worry about. And it's summer, and so I just appreciate that those things get done. Thank you.
Mr. Sislo.
I just want to thank everybody attending. This might be a record for a June meeting. It's pretty impressive. So thank everyone for being here and being part of the process. And I'll harp on the budget as well. I think we should be ready to pass a resolution at our next meeting if we don't have a budget by July 1st from the state. So thank you.
Mr. Burdette.
I'll just echo the sentiments of everyone else at the table about the budget, without getting too much into it. I did also want to say that I am registered for 3 more CBA courses at the Summer Institute for the Michigan Association of School Boards, and I just want to thank the administration and the community for being able to attend those and continue to grow as a board member. Thanks.
Thank you. Ms. Murray.
Thank you. Just briefly, I will also continue to harp on the budget and the importance of contacting your legislators. I completely concur with Mr. Sislo. I think that with no delay, this board needs to seriously consider a resolution that we send on to the state and all of our representatives regarding this unacceptable delay. I was very hopeful about a week or 2 ago that we might not be in this position again, and at this particular moment I am just reliving where we were not even 6 months ago. We haven't even had this budget that long, and it's already finished, and we're looking ahead, and we're still like looking down the barrel of this issue again, which is just completely unacceptable. So yes, please do take the opportunity to call or email your legislators. And one thing that we learn and we hear often at the MASB conferences when we speak to Jennifer Smith from MASB, I know it can be a little bit uncomfortable, but phone calls to your legislative offices are, an email is great, and if that's what you can do, I certainly would never tell anyone to not send an email, but if you have 5 minutes to make a phone call, that's really all it takes. You can just call them, tell them who you are, tell them what your position is, and then the staffers for those legislators are required to take a record of that phone call, and that's all that it takes. You just state who you are and your position, and it's very, very simple and straightforward. You're not going to have dialogue with them. They're not going to ask you questions. You just state why you're calling. So please do that. I want to thank Mr. Farrow, President Farrow, for bringing the communication committee up to speed, I guess, about talking about getting some meetings on the calendar as we work through this budget or lack thereof, and agree with Ms. Pryor about communication with the with the community about how these decisions are impacting our district. So I look forward to talking with Mr. Burdette and Mr. Sislo and figuring out when the 3 of us can get together to do some of that work and have those conversations. Thank you to the scholarship recipients as well. It was so nice to read those thank you notes and emails at the meeting tonight, and congratulations again to all those recipients. And then finally, I just want to welcome all of our new staff, and thanks to those who are attending. This is a truly special community, and I'm really excited to see so many familiar names, and I'm excited to get to know those who I don't know yet. So welcome to all, and that's it for me tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. I have nothing more to add. Everybody has, I've checked off my list. Thank you all. So with that, next up on the agenda is a closed session for the Board of Education. I need a motion to enter into closed session pursuant to Section 8(1)(e) of the Michigan Open Meetings Act to consult with legal counsel on pending litigation and for negotiation strategies.
Moved by Heike.
Support by Burdette.
All right, we have a motion by Ms. Heike with support from Mr. Burdette. Is there any discussion? All right, we'll proceed with the vote.
Heike?
Yes.
Murray, yes. Pryor?
Yes.
Sislo,
Yes.
Burdette,
Yes.
and Farah,
Yes.
and motion carries 6-0.
All right, we're going into closed session at 7:59 PM.
See you Saturday.
right, we're returning to open session. We're returning from closed session at 9:31 PM. With no further business to conduct, we are adjourning the meeting at 9:31 PM.